Step one for making snow ice cream is you need snow. It can't be snow where your dog has walked. It can't be the kind of snow that's been stepped on and turned into ice on your sidewalk. It has to be freshly fallen snow. So if it's going to start snowing, find a spot and set out at least one big bowl. The kind that you can put 2 or even 3 batches of popcorn in, or even a turkey pan works. Once your bowls are set out to collect the snow, you just have to wait. You don't want your snow to sit out in the sunlight for a few hours and warm up and then sort of refreeze as more of an ice than a snow. You want it light and fluffy, freshly fallen, and you do not want it to be wet or heavy. This bucket I set out when it started snowing, and it's accumulated, maybe 3 inches worth. Rather than just letting the snow fall into your bucket, one of the best ways of collecting snow is to use a spatula. That way the heat of your hands won't be melting the snow, because you don't want it compacted and you don't want it heated up. You want it to stay as cold as possible for as long as possible. Another good thing about using a hard spatula is that if there's more compacted snow underneath, you can avoid that layer. You can hear it when you run into it with the spatula, and just avoid that. Just skim right off the top. Okay, so you bring your snow ice cream in, and you want to make sure that you have all your ingredients gathered before you bring it in, because every minute that it's inside your house where it's warm means that it's losing some of its texture. 1/3 cup of sugar at a time. You're sprinkling that on there. And you're going to kind of fluff it up. You're not pushing it down in. You want to fluff it up because you want it to keep its crystal nature. You always want to work with a fork, just because it's going to press less. It's going to be able to lift it up and get that sugar to work down in. Oh, we got a little leaf in there. You don't want leaves, you don't want gravel, you don't want dirt. Obviously, you don't want any snow that's been contaminated by anything. The other thing you need to know about this is that it doesn't keep very well in the freezer, even in a closed container. Now, your next step is going to be to take some vanilla. We use lots of vanilla. Why not? It's flavor. How much flavor does snow have in the first place anyway? You're going to do about 3 tablespoons for a bowl this size, and you're not going to dump it all in one spot, just like this is how you're going to do the milk. You're not going to dump it all in one spot. You're going to drizzle it over the surface, and you're going to work it in just the way you did the sugar. And the same thing's going to happen with the milk. You're not going to pour it in like so many of these other videos online have said. You don't just mix all your sugar and your milk and your vanilla in together and then pour it over snow. And another thing that I've seen people do is that they pack it into their bowl. They pack their snow down, and that's going to ruin the texture of your snow ice cream. You want it as light and fluffy as possible, although you are going to slowly lose some of that light fluffy texture. The more ingredients you add, the granules of sugar have already begun to cut down on the crystals, and the vanilla is doing the same thing. You can use any kind of milk or half and half or cream. And I'm drizzling it. I am not dumping it. I don't want it to pool in the bottom. I want it to get caught by the snow crystals and freeze instantly. And something you can do if by accident you add too much milk and it gets too creamy, too melty, you can add a little bit more freshly fallen snow to your mixture. So it's always good, if you're going to set out one bowl, set out 2. And if you don't need it to extend this batch, if you don't need it to salvage this one from too much milk, you can always make more later in the day. And you may think you didn't put in enough milk, but there's a good chance that you've got plenty of milk. You just need to keep working it through. At the end, it's going to have a texture like boxed mashed potatoes, reconstituted, but it's going to taste a whole lot better.